Next table is table 24, and table 19 is on deck. Thanks.
Yeah, hi. My name is Charles Menzies. I'm here as part of the Kakatla delegation. I'm born and raised in Prince Rupert. I worked my way through university, where I'm currently a faculty member since 1996. So part of what I'm asking and thinking about comes from that direct experience of being in this North Coast and remembering back in the mid-'70s the talk about running large supertankers through Principe Channel in that area. So I've got two quick questions that are sort of linked. And one is a technical question. I'm just wondering if the author of this review, when he did this study, did any examination of the link between this drive toward integration and the downsizing of government staff and capacity over the last 2 decades. So that's one question. The other one is a more direct one that comes to what I mentioned when I started talking, is will there be any capacity in this kind of process to actually exclude categories of vessel traffic or to create no-go zones for particular types of vessel? And here I'm particularly thinking of the Exxon Valdez and the impact that continues to have, and the very delicate and important wealthy coastline that we have, and the impact of certain types of vessels, such as large crude tankers and vessels with distillate, etc. So will this process provide a possibility, because one of the things you're talking about, or say opportunity, that we're talking about, will it provide an opportunity to actually prohibit or exclude clearly defined categories of vessels?
Okay. I think your first question was, is there any correlation, or did you study any correlation between the reduction of staff, public staff, and the change to a dry port?
No.
Sorry.
Dry port, that'd be nice too. No, what I'm saying is the drive toward integration resource management practices, and there's been this drive. I'm wondering if in your review you looked to see if there was any connection with the downsizing of government staff and capabilities since basically the early 1980s. We've seen, for example, DFO be switched in this direction.
It's a yes/no for him.
No, the nature of the work that I was asked to do was essentially to take a lot of the background material that had been prepared for this process, including a marine use analysis, and then try to synthesize that down into something that's more compressed and succinct. So I didn't undertake any specific research, beyond that, other than trying to capture the essence of an issue. What is the issue? Why is it important? Where might it occur? So that kind of thing. So in the paper, you'll be disappointed you won't find that kind of work. And I have to admit, I don't think I've seen any studies that link that in the material that I looked at.
And the second question was about whether PNCIMA is going to be looking at excluding various categories of vessel traffic. Is that going to be part of their mandate? Is that a fair?
Is that opportunity?
Is that opportunity exist for the PNCIMA initiative to consider that?
I'm probably not the best person to answer that one, but I do know, and the paper points out that there's a lot of factors at play there. As you know, there's federal regulations, there's even international regulations around vessel traffic and what it can and can't do. And so I know that in the paper, that the material that you've got in your package, there's a reference to things like doing risk assessments, trying to get a better handle on the risks that will occur as a result of increased marine traffic, and there could well be some best practices. This is my own personal guess. There could be some best practices coming out of the process. There could well be some areas where there's no go. I know that in other processes like this, they've been looking at trying to make sure vessel traffic avoids seasonal whale migration routes and things of that nature. So I do believe there'll be some attempt to deal with those issues.
Thanks. Table 19 is next, and table 13 is on deck.
Hi, thanks. I just want to make a suggestion, and that is, I think this potentially could be a very historic meeting, the beginning of a process that is very exciting and very profound. But as we've already seen in a couple of hours, there are many, many different perspectives that will come to play on each of the issues that you're raising there. And I wish we could all come together first with some fundamental assumptions or agreements that everyone could buy into. First of all, is that the oceans, the health and the well-being of the oceans, is directly related to our health and well-being. That is, our health and well-being depends on the oceans. If we could agree with that, it seems to me that that shapes the way we deal with each of those issues. I am a scientist, and I've been a scientist for 40 years, and I can tell you we need science, but science will never be able to manage nature. The only thing that we can manage is ourselves. And the best knowledge base we have right now, because it's worked, is 10,000 years of management through Aboriginal understanding and knowledge. And I think we should pay a lot of attention to that, because that really is a vital set of information that science will never be able to duplicate. And then we go on from there that I think that we better, the economy keeps coming up over and over again. This economy is so fundamentally flawed that if we keep throwing the economy up as one of the strong arguments for what we do or do not do, we're in deep trouble. The economy is a human invention, and it externalizes most of the services that nature performs. For example, the oceans are a major sink for carbon. That doesn't factor into anything in our economic discussions. And I think that we'd better, I would like to see this group come to some really deep agreements about where we start from, because that's going to shape the way the discussion goes from here on.
And let's imagine that was a question. It was an articulate short speech. I hope one of the things that David is saying is that PNCIMA's vision is not set. PNCIMA's priorities are not entirely established. Some of the basic values of the PNCIMA initiative are in your materials. But if you want to shape that vision, if you want to prioritize elements of that vision, as David is pointing out, and there's others who would point it out in the same way or different ways, that's for you to contribute to starting this afternoon, and we'll be turning to that. I appreciate what you're saying. I think we all appreciate what you're saying. Table 13 and table 4 will be on deck, and then we'll go to table 16. 13.
Is this on? There we go. David, I've often wondered, I was actually going to ask you the question when I seen you out in the lobby about the issue about the population. We talk about, as you mentioned, the oceans and the people are in balance. Unfortunately, economics changes that. And economic growth is sustainable economic growth is an oxymoron. We can't keep populating. But this wasn't what I was going to ask.
I'm hoping so.
But one of the things I think I got a bit of an advantage here is because he can't answer any of the questions. So I can, pretty much say whatever I want. Right?
Just ask the question. just ask the question. That would be great.
Maybe I could ask you the question.
Please do, yeah. Well, one of the things that I don't know whether I missed it in your presentation, but there's a missing link in the way that we manage our fisheries resources, and that I see as a missing link, and it's appropriate stock assessment. We have no program that assesses what we have, what any regulations or management regime does to evaluating the results. The East Coast example with the
Jerry,
cost.
can you pose your question? It's only fair to everybody else.
Well, the question is this part of the process? I mean, stock assessment to me seems like it should be foremost before we don't even know what we got out there.
Okay, great question. Thanks. John?
Great question. Actually,
we're posing questions to John as if he's John PNCIMA. He's not.
Yeah. I think the fundamental flaw in the PNCIMA discussion paper is that it assumed that you needed a discussion paper to get people to discuss things. So we obviously don't really need this paper. It's pretty good. It's good discussion.